So happy Friday, everyone. Thank you for joining me. It's simply Scrappy, a little bit of a pop-up today. Not a lot of time to plan this, but I did want to show off the Circle Punch from Creative Memories in the promo. So we've had two of them. Let me show you. Let me flip down here to my table so you can see what we're talking about. So the promos, we have the Lighthouse and we have the Circle Sunshine, the Mandala Punch. So the Lighthouse Punch was pretty popular. We had it as a border punch in a promo. Was that? No, it wasn't promo. It was a secret box last summer. It sold through pretty fast, and so I think this is their way of making up for it a little bit. So if you like lighthouses and you haven't been able to get your hands on that border punch, it is a freestanding punch. But of course, you could line them up and make your own borders with those. So that will be a fun one to have. Not a lot of technique to teach with that. Obviously, the lighthouse is the lighthouse. And it does come with the sticker pack, which are really pretty, beautiful colors. I know Meg and I are both hoping this is a sign of maybe a nautical coastal collection to come that these will coordinate with. I have a hard time believing they would tease us with these colors and kind of the watercolor and not give us something more. So I think those will be coming through. So that is one of the promos you can get right now for $135 spend. But the one we came to talk about today is the Sunshine Mandala Circle Punch. So it gets a little confusing. It talks about Circle Punch. We have a Circle Punch. This is a different, it kind of creates a frame. And it also comes with the Hello Sunshine embellishment. So this is the fourth Circle Punch that we've had. The very first one was called Ornate Arches. It was an advisor join gift. It was followed by Dotted Leaf, which I do have. I still have in stock on my website, actually. Then we had one, I think it was called Floral Circle. It had little tulips around the design. And then this is our fourth one with the Sunshine Mandala. So this is really pretty. I think it'll be really versatile. And so to show you how it works, I'm going to actually go through a layout and a border from the Creative Memories blog. But to punch on this, you do need 6-inch squares for kind of the general shape of it. I'm going to be jumping in. You're going to see the papers I have, but I'll go ahead and punch one. That will be one of the borders. So here's a 6-inch piece of paper. So just the basic how-to. This side has a little raised lip. You feed your paper in there, give it a punch. Then you are going to pull it out and you're going to flip it over and you're going to stick. So this corner is back up here in that corner. And it's going to also pop out this little square. So if you love to keep tiny things, you're going to get 4 of those. You could keep and work into a future layout, but you're going to work your way around your square like that. So it's going to take 8 punches to do the true circle. I have, this paper is from the summer break. I'll be using it for the border. And then I pulled out the Perfectly Patriotic paper. We are going into Memorial Day weekend, so it's not just for July 4th. Thank you for all of you who have either served our country or supported service members, and I'm remembering them this weekend. Do any of you attend special ceremonies or events, or how do you spend your Memorial Day, or do you do the traditional American family barbecue? So this is what you get just punching the 6-inch mandala. It is really pretty. You can layer these around your paper. I went back. What you'll probably see show up for me is an idea from Kristen off the CM blog. And she kind of overhung some of them around her paper and trimmed them off. So she used kind of a monochromatic, a light tone. It was back when we had natural disposition. It looked really pretty on there. The first border, we're going to work through a border by punching a couple of these. Obviously, the most basic way to use this is just as is. You can layer around your paper. You can layer it behind photos. You can cut a photo for the center. Here is a partially done border. So we're going to punch 2 of these and we're going to cut them into quarters. And then we're going to adhere them on a border strip. So this border strip is 1 1/4. You are not going to see most of it. You're I'm going to cover up these spots with embellishments. And so depending on how you layer, it might show a little bit of color behind, depending on how big your embellishments. In general, you should not see much. So any color would work. I went ahead and chose navy. So this is 1 1/4. I already showed you how to punch one of these. I'm going to go ahead and punch my second one. And then we have to cut them into quadrants. I probably will not show step by step for all of these in the interest of time. Especially the cutting gets a little bit intensive. But you're welcome to obviously pause the recording, come back and watch it. And I will post her blog instructions with my photos on my website at some point this weekend. Just can't throw away those little squares. I'm going to have a whole collection of them now to keep. So to cut these into quarters, I do have the 12-inch trimmer from Pretty Memories. It has this dotted line, which is the cut line. And then I'm going to try to cut between my petals. And so I'm laying it on my trimmer, just eyeballing to see if I'm down the middle. Whenever I'm cutting, I usually start in the middle and go out, come back and go out, so I'm not cutting against a point or anything. And then to cut it in half again, I'm going to push it all the way to the top. So I'm going to use my straight line up here and cut through the middle down there. So that gives me 4 there. If you're confident you're not on a cut, you can obviously cut against it. But I find, when you're cutting against thin things, sometimes the pressure bends the paper a little bit. That gives me 4 sections for that. Then we're going to fold them. So here's what I have started. Here is the 1 1/4 piece. If I can get my fingers on it. I'm going to fold these up so the point is between 2 of the, say, rays or petals. And obviously it's a sunshine, so I guess rays. When you choose your paper, you do have to think about how it's going to cut. When we start with the 6 inches, we get a section of paper that is going to look different in the pattern than once we put it in a circle and cut it, because it's going to tilt to get between those rays. And so like this is the waves paper. They are going to be kind of at a slight angle. The back of it, the polka dots, is non-directional. So I do recommend you want prints that are either not going to be real obvious if it's on an angle or something non-directional. I went through the summer break pack and I was afraid that some of them, the prints would get lost. The watermelons you would notice were at an angle. So I think this border is better to use one with just colors and non-directional options. So you go through and fold all of those. This is the paper that she used on the blog. I do love the polka dots. So then to adhere in the center, so you can get a pencil if you have one. I've obviously buried mine, or it's going to get covered up, but you want something usually shiny that you can see. And you want to mark the center at 6 inches. So you can use your cutting mat or ruler. Give yourself an eyeball mark. And then I do recommend using repositional tape. And what we're trying to do is center these 2 in the middle, where you can see where that pencil line shows through. I'm going to cover this up with an embellishment, but we also want to be adhering it down to the middle. And this is where, in the end, I think it's easiest to eyeball, but it was also easier to have the top at the same time. So you can kind of like give it an eyeball. Does it look like you're centered down the middle? You could also, use your nail if you're like mine, or do a little score mark down the center if you want to try to line them up along there. And then once you put your tape on, you can put your tape directly on your border, and then you won't have to worry about getting it too high on the back, which is what I did the first time. I had tape coming through the back that then was making my border stick to the mat. I mean, I could rub it off because it was repo. And then I would go to the other side of that. So I'm going to start top or bottom. And then if you don't like it, like this has a lot of overlap. Now I'm thinking I should have shifted anyways a little bit. This is when you can just pull it up. So I'm going to put this one where I think it actually should be. I'm looking at more getting that edge at the pencil mark hanging off the paper. And I think maybe I need to move these down a little bit, but it's super easy using the repo tape. And then we're going to work our way down. I knew I was probably going to run out of tape. Getting close, I think. I have my refill ready. The repo tape has been a popular buy for this promo. A lot of people are stocking up on the basics. We've had so many promos, sometimes I think we feel like there's nothing we need. So you have to go find the basics. I've been waiting for this, though, to restock my website a little bit and the basics. So once you have them and you're pretty happy and you know you're done, you can put a little bit of repo tape under the fold to keep it down. And then we need to clean up our edges. So you can use your trimmer. And then we're just looking to make sure that this part of the end border is along the dotted line. It's okay to be maybe have a little bit of excess, as you know, especially if you're putting these on our scrapbook pages. Sometimes they are a little wider than 12 inches. So if you keep your cut slightly off the end, you can always go back and trim it a little bit more later if it's too long for the base that you're putting it on. I'm going to trim off this section. And then your final step would be for embellishment. So this, you can use what comes in there, or you can find something custom. They showed you how, any embellishment about 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches would fit. You could use our actual circle punch to make matting spots for maybe smaller embellishments. Or the 3-in-1 scallop circle would be cute. You can see how it fills those in and get the paper. So you have a nice summery border ready for your summer layout. So I thought this one had a few extra steps, but it is a nice impact. You've seen sometimes we have, people will punch along, we'll mark and we'll hold the punch. It's a little bit harder with these because of this lip. You can't feed your paper through and try to use the punch a different way. It's going to be, coming up over the lip of it. So this was a nice way, I thought, to get that effect without actually having to do all of that. The next layout is a full page layout. It also was from the blog that they showed for the promo. But like I said, I pulled out Perfectly Patriotic for this one. It has a lot of layers, so choosing your paper is definitely a thought process a little bit. So you have 3 layers at least, and I don't have a completed one, so I know you're a little bit in the dark about how this is going to end up. But the main concept is we are going to punch a paper that looks like this. I'm going to use, I think, this light blue lines. Then we're going to mat that on another paper that is 11.25 inch square. And then that paper is going to sit on a base paper. So we're going to get that kind of that double framed effect. And you are going to see some of the prints of this paper. You're not going to see the center well, you will see the center of the top. This is a scrap paper. You're not going to see what's below it. So you can see I've already stolen some of the print that would layer underneath that. Perfectly Patriotic is slightly challenging when choosing because we obviously have four colors. We have the red, the blue, and the white with some different shades of red and blue. So unlike Summer Break, where you can kind of pull in this full rainbow of layering, we're a little bit have to be intentional about where the red and the blue and the white all sit. So the Firecrack Shimmer and the Starry Night Shimmer are nice options to mix in with it along with navy. So I think I've settled on this. I've debated, and this isn't for, I'm going to try to do a Memorial Day layout. So if I can get some pictures on Monday, my kids will be out of town over the 4th of July with their dad. So I don't know that I'll even have a July 4th photo unless someone takes it for me. So I thought I would do a Memorial Day layout with this. So I am going to punch, this is my top layer. It's going to be sitting on the stars. I thought about putting on Firecracker. If I put it on navy, it is pretty dark, or I could do the Starry Night. I actually don't have to decide that final step yet, but just be thinking about that. So the first step is I'm going to create these 2 layers. So I need this paper, the one that I'm going to punch with the circle punch, and I need to trim that down to 11 inches. I have a feeling my stream is still poor, so kudos to any of you watching this live on Facebook. And again, if it's too bad, find me later on YouTube when it is cleaned up. Okay, so there's 11 inches. And then this paper I've already cut the stars. The first layer underneath the one that will punch is 11 1/4. And I'll put that on the blog later with my pictures. So once we have this, we want to punch the corners, and we're just going to do 2 punches in each corner. We can't go all the way around. We're going to punch the same concept. Punch, flip your paper, insert the square edge. I'm going all the way around 4 corners. One more corner. So this is going to layer on this paper. And like I said, this is where before you actually adhere it, you could steal a circle from underneath. So I'm not going to adhere yet. We're going to look at our layering options. This is pretty basic, right? This could be it. You could do this and be done. Put your photos on here. On the blog post, they create a center medallion. So they use several layers. So they would need 4 choices. So there's a couple of the early layers at the very bottom are using the largest circle, so the number 3. If I cut that with the blue and then with the red, I'm going to get a large circle to map my punched on. Then I am punching 2 more. This one's navy. And then the second one is we are going to have a little bit of a technique too. So you can see I folded these. So I'm cutting and folding, and then I would need to decide which side shows first. So the idea of this is that those are going to layer, and then you could have a spot in the middle to have a mat, and then put your photo here in the center. So I've already punched the navy. I'm going to go ahead and punch this paper again. I think I actually might use this side, the red. It's a little bit less overwhelming with the prints. Going all the way around. Okay, once you get all the way around, you're going to grab your scissors. So I have some micro tip scissors, and I'm going to cut between the two petals. So I'm going to release that. So there's different layers of technique here. You know, the basic level would be to punch it and leave it as is. This is more an advanced level where I'm going to punch two of them. And they folded these up. So again, this is off a blog post from the Creative Memories blog, designed by Melissa Ullman. It was posted on the 20th, so just a few days ago. I think I'm all the way around. So this is where I have my choice. So I went through this one and folded them forward. It's a little overwhelming to my eye. Kind of lose the folding effect in there. The idea is that you see the navy pulling through. So I think for this one, I'm going to fold towards the red. And so you can grab a multi-purpose tool. I lost mine yet again. Just had the underneath. If you want, you can grab your tool just to kind of lift it up for you. And then we're going to fold it down against where it meets the larger circle of the punch. So this can be a little bit time consuming. It's going to take you a couple of minutes to fold. It does have a strong visual impact if you choose the right colors and layering. So even though it's not a sunshine, I think this punch lends itself to also looking more like a banner, depending on the context of where you use it and with what papers. The tricky part of this is going to be how you adhere them. And we'll talk about that in a second. So I could decide which way do I want these to bend. So if I adhere this on top of the navy, I'm seeing that dark navy pop through. I'm seeing that white of the print pop through. And then for my photo, I could use white or a different color. I don't really even have a photo, obviously, yet. When I adhere these, they are going to hide underneath this. So there is a little bit of grace in that. I think the precision point is going to be the easiest way if you can get some under the tip of that. Where's my precision point? Make sure you have it primed. Sometimes mine are a little challenging. But you got to get it right where it's going to fold over. So get some on the tip, fold it forward. So you might want to do this on a scrap paper. I could do it on here because I'm going to be hiding the middle of this and go all the way around. So again, it will take you a couple minutes to go all the way around. And the glue has to dry just slightly. I mean, you got to give it a second to hold. It doesn't really take that much. You have to get it there first. Looks like some of you are barbecuing this weekend with family and friends. Any other graduations? It's my nephew's graduation, one this weekend and one next weekend. It's typically a yard weekend for many people, and I told you previously that Jonah, my oldest, has been here doing some yard work for me out back. You may have seen my post the other day. He went with me and I bought a very large new planter. It's one of those, I am a little bit opposed to plastic. I will buy plastic planters. I try to not always choose plastic if I can, but I just didn't ever see one I liked. They are lighter and they're definitely easier to maneuver. I'd actually bought one at Costco and it was way too big. So I picked one out and I had him to carry it because it was very heavy. It was $70. And then when we got home, first of all, we went to load it and he just set it in there normal. And I was like, well, I know that's not going to happen. Like, it can't be top heavy. And so then he put it on its side, but I was worrying about it rolling in the back because I've had other big things in there shift side to side. It's like, well, the last thing I need is for that to roll out. And so I put it in there where the top side down and I thought it was secure. And then we got home and my driveway is on a slope. It's always more than I realize when things fall out the back. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a bad idea. He no sooner than lifted it up and it just slid straight out onto the ground and cracked into very many pieces. I was so sad. I probably might not even replace it now. I'm like, you know what? I might just use the one I was going to replace and keep looking for next year. Such a bummer. And they didn't have that one. That was the only one of the one I bought. So it's not like I can go back and get the same one. I would have to change my mind. Okay, so adhering these together, you don't really have to put your glue out here. The glue can definitely be just in the middle. And then I already cut my 2 circles. I had one cut with the red, one cut with the blue. And then this white will go here in the middle. This is like a photo spot. So this would be a photo mat. If you use the small circle with the green blade, it will just create a tiny little mat. And then your circle, the small with the red blade, would be what you use for your photo. So that puts together this very layered photo accent to go here at the top. And then you could fit in smaller circles around here. So I do think I like this better on the Starry Shimmer. The red would definitely pop. The Starry Shimmer is kind of a medium blue. So it does kind of help hold together kind of that mid-tone there. This is more navy. And then, of course, I have the light blue. I do have stripe on stripe. So I either need to make sure I'm really intentional about lining those up, or I could do a vertical stripe to kind of have perpendicular. I think I do like it horizontal. It's pretty subtle. That stripe is about the same size as the blue, so I think that it works okay. And so then once you're confident of your layers, you would just layer these down. Obviously, so as you can see, this light blue is covering up a large section of the middle. And so that's where I cut out this. This is the back of the stripes, is the stars. And then you could do a frame cut for this, take out a large chunk of the starry bottom for your border too. So that is some ways to use the Sunshine Mandala or any of the circle punches that you might have in your stash. So hopefully that gives you some good ideas. If you're not working with an advisor, of course, I would love your support. But whoever you choose from, you should consider grabbing one of these. They are fun to get. So if you're not sure what to buy, I can give you lots of choices. Repo tape is always a good one. Cardstock is always a good one. Top loading sleeves, pages, of course, all of those basics that we go through. I try to coach everyone I talk to, whether it's team members or customers. I had a customer wanting to buy kind of a large purchase a couple weeks ago. I was like, just wait. I think we're going to get a buy get promo. That is the time to stock up on those things that are usually available or you think will be available, because your money goes farther for that too. So I look forward to seeing what you make. I will get this up on YouTube so you can watch the clean version of it. And I will let you know about next week and if you can expect to see me live and what the topic would be. So happy Friday, happy Memorial Day. Thanks again to all of you that have served our country or supported people who have. And I hope you have a happy Memorial Day weekend. So see y'all later.